You know what? After thinking about it for a while, I've decided that VR is the future of gaming, and with that, it should also be the future of content creation. So with that, I am going to announce that every video on this channel from this video forth is going to be VR capable. As in, you can do, well, I'm still thinking that part out. You know what? I should probably also research that too. Let me just, damn it. This isn't gonna work out as well as it could. Anyways, hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and this is my PlayStation VR headset that I finally got. I mean, it's not like I, waited an eternity for it, but you all know I did pre-order it. I was excited about it. I ended up making a video about why I pre-ordered it, and I also ended up making a video unboxing this thing, which I'll try and include somewhere, but I unboxed the launch model of the PlayStation VR. For anyone wondering, the main difference between the launch model and the regular model is the regular one is $400 and just has the VR headset and the essentials to get you started, and by essentials I mean like the hookups. That's it. The launch model is $100 more, and it ends up coming with 2 PlayStation Move controllers, a camera, PlayStation VR Worlds, and a demo disc. And I think that's it. So you get over $100 in value with that, which is nice. And plus the camera is like modified. It's different than the original camera that came out. But point is, if you don't have any of this stuff to get started, I'd recommend getting the launch model. Now that's something we need to talk about, recommendations. Now so far, I can't do a review of this device. Reason being is that I don't feel like I've used it enough to justify it, but I wanted to give you all my first impressions because some people were asking with that, when it's either on YouTube or in my personal life. They're like, oh, what do you think of it so far? How is it? How does it run? Is it easy to hook up? How are the games? And now I can talk to you all a little bit about it. So first off, I'm going to need to ask for some help. This is a $400 headset, and so far it seems like a $400 VR headset. If you don't know what I mean, I've used 2 other actual headsets prior to this. I use a Oculus Rift Dev Kit 2, and I use the HTC Vive. Now, I've used the Vive on my computer, which wasn't capable of handling it, and somehow it did. And I've also used it on a top-of-the-line computer over at the Microsoft Store. So I'm trying not to compare this to the Vive, but it's kind of hard not to when I've had that experience on. Right now, at this moment in time, I've pretty much had the best consumer-grade VR device experience possible out there. And I have to say, I don't know what's up with this because I kind of want to get your all's help with this if you all know anything about it or if there's anybody who has checked this out. So the thing works, don't get me wrong, but first off, if you just go and try and slap it on your head like this, not going to work. The first time you do it, you have to do this whole setup and all that. So what you need to do is you need to take this, you need to go ahead and elongate that, and then you need to press this button, extend it out, put it over your head, and then at that point you press the button, bring this all forward like so, and then you're able to adjust it in the back. And when you do that, it's alright, but there's a few issues you run into. First off, at least for me, it took a bit to really get this dialed in. And even at this point, I don't know if it's properly dialed in. I'll be honest. My room's pretty well lit up. I'm playing out in my living room. I have plenty of space. The camera's fine on there as well too. But then just even some of the fundamental things on here, like for example, so if you don't go through the process of setting it up properly, what can happen is you're going to get like a bunch of, whenever you're breathing, it's going to fog up. That's going to happen. You're also going to, get your face oils and all that on the lenses here, which is nice because they included lens cleaners, but it does get a bit annoying, and honestly, that's kind of just those 2 things I talked about. More the smudging is just kind of a fact of life with VR headsets, but the fogging up, that's kind of what's annoyed me, although I've noticed when I actually set it on my head properly, it's pretty good. However, this is where we come into the issue of it, which is what I'm trying to ask you all about. I don't know if it's the headset itself, how it was designed. I don't know if it's a calibration issue. I really don't think it's my eyesight, but there's a lot of things on here that just don't look proper. And by that I mean, when I get it set up on my head properly, like when I go through that whole process and I calibrate it, as best I can at least, it can look better. I can make it look better. But what I mean by that is I was playing Batman VR, right? And at one point I had to pick up a clipboard that had numbers on it. And I look at it and I'm like, because, I'm playing in VR, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, that's blurry. I can't see that. I still really can't read those numbers. Like, that is blurry. Now, I understand I myself, I don't have the best eyesight, It's more, I don't remember if it's near or far-sighted. If I have trouble seeing things far away. So if something is in front of me, like for example this camera, I could see it all pretty well. Or excellently. This game right here, if I put it right up to my face, I could see it quite well. Now, I don't think I should have this issue with this, especially when the screen should be about this far away from me, and when I'm doing this in-game, the thing is showing up blurry. So I think there's some type of issue there, and I don't know if it's the headset, I don't know if it's a calibration thing, I don't know. And that's why I'm asking you all about that, because I'm not sure what's going on with that. I know the screen itself on here is a bit lower quality, and there's been other people that have talked about the pixelation that you can see, and I fully understand that, but just with that whole blurriness thing, I don't know. I don't know. Now, the other downside to this as well, too, is kind of a downside. I personally find it to be kind of funny. I'm going to put up some pictures whenever I talk about this, but when you set up the VR headset, so setting it up is actually quite easy. In the box, it should have everything. You set up your camera, you set up all the controllers and all that stuff. And by the way, you don't have to have the PlayStation Move controllers. You don't need to. You can just use your regular PlayStation 4 controller, and as long as you're not covering the LED light on there, you should be good to go on that. However, there's some games that are more fun with PlayStation Move controllers, in my opinion. But one of the issues you run into is when you're hooking up everything, there is a little processing box that you have to hook everything up to, and this is supposed to be a living room experience, and I'll just say this, it doesn't really look that good for the living room. As in, you have to take this box and you have to put it somewhere, like either on top of your PS4 or kind of by your PS4, and you have to end up hooking up the HDMI from the PS4 to the box, and then from the box to your TV, a lot like the Xbox One, if you're doing, you know, the whole cable TV setup thing on there, and then you end up hooking this thing right here up to the box itself. So you have a cable and all that, that's understandable, you know, it's a VR headset. But then the problem is, the PS4, I mean, it's a smaller form factor, it's limited, plus it only has 2 USB ports on there, so you're going to use one of them for the VR headset and probably another one to charge your controller if you're going to be doing that. The problem here lies where the PS4 goes from a sleek-looking system to a system that looks like it's in the intensive care unit with a box giving it life and wires all over the place. So have fun with the cable management on that. That's all I'll say. Aesthetically, it doesn't look that nice. But really, those are all the complaints I have about this so far, and if I can get some help on that from you all in the comment section, that'd be fantastic. However, talking about the positives of here, so first off, this VR headset is pretty light. I've been happy with it. And when you put it on, it's comfortable. I'd heard a few complaints, like 1 or 2 complaints of people saying that it gets really hot. I never experienced that. If anything, it got a little bit warm, but that was about it. Setup was quite easy on there as well, too. And then this was the cool thing, which I didn't know how I felt about it at first, but right here on your headset, so you end up having this, which you have the on button, you have a mute, and then volume up, volume down, and a headset jack right there, or 3.5mm jack, where it actually provides earbuds where you could just hook them up and play in there. And man, I gotta say, the sound, they got down so well on this. They got down so well. It's just stereo, because that's it. It's just like earbuds or headphones or whatever you're going to use. But they got the 3D sound well, like, just down packed. I played several games, and props to the developers at Sony for that. When it comes to sound, you nailed this. I don't have a single bad thing to say about it. But then, what about the games themselves? Well, honestly, there's not really, from what I know, many actual games you can play. I know there's games that you can at least watch, you know, in VR, and you could do that actually from even the home screen. You can just check it out and use this as a screen, which is cool, but a lot of the games that have come out are kind of just over-glorified tech demos. So one of the first ones is this Batman VR game. Just forewarning, I'm not going to have any gameplay on here because I didn't bother capturing gameplay footage for this yet, because I just wanted to enjoy the device and, you know, hang out with it. That's all I wanted to do. But point is, right here, got Batman VR, and so far, it's pretty awesome. You feel like Batman. It's great. I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say, and even I myself, like, one of my coworkers telling me about it, and I said, you know what, 20 bucks, let's give it a shot. I'm very impressed with this game so far. It looks great, it plays well, and that's the thing, all the games I've played, frame rate has not dropped on them, and frame rate is extremely important for a VR headset, because if your frame rate starts dropping, you're gonna vomit. That's what's going to happen. But point is, on here, the game is quite polished. It looks great, aside from like the blurriness and all that, and I still don't know what's going on with that. But it makes you feel like you're Batman, and this was one of my favorite experiences. By the way, highly recommend you play this standing up, so definitely get on that if you have one of these. The other $20 game that I would recommend is Until Dawn Rush of Blood, and I loved Until Dawn. Like the original one, I absolutely loved it. First game I got a platinum trophy on, and this is a rail shooter type game where you are on a carnival ride, well, specifically a roller coaster, and you're kind of just going through the rides and all that stuff. Sounds kind of cheesy. It's a little bit cheesy, but the thing is, if you enjoyed Until Dawn, you're going to enjoy this because you're kind of used to that cheesy factor in the game itself, as that's kind of what it's built on. And I have to say, again, very impressed with this so far. Kind of a tech demo, but the first thing I thought of when I was playing this was, you know what would be cool? If they started making like proper light gun or just railgun type shooters for virtual reality headsets, because there's several games, like for example, I've been going to a local barcade recently quite a bit, and friends and I have been playing, you know, Area 51, Maximum Force, Time Crisis there, and they're fun, and it was so fun that one of my friends and I, we actually end up splitting the cost on a Time Crisis unit, not the actual unit, but like a Time Crisis setup for the PS3. And if you all don't know, I'm just going to get into this really quick. Pretty much light gun games do not work properly, as in probably they don't work at all on modern monitors or TVs. So you have to have a different type of setup on there. Now with Time Crisis, you have to go about and like set up these sensors on your TV, and then because the game was older and because my TV is now bigger than what they anticipated, the sensors just kind of hanging off the TV and you have to kind of finagle with it. Point is, it's kind of annoying, but with this, like with VR, railgun shooters would be fantastic. Like, I cannot wait to place them on there, and Until Dawn is definitely a big proponent of that. So I would recommend picking this up, only 20 bucks if you got it, if you got a VR headset. And also, I will say this, I'm not the best when it comes to roller coasters. I really don't ride them because I just don't like them that much, but I did kind of get the sensation that I was on a roller coaster. If you get into it, they really give you that sensation and they deliver on that, which is quite great to see. Now, honestly, probably the most disappointing of the bunch that I picked up was Driveclub VR. And Driveclub VR, it's pretty much just the same game, Driveclub, except you're in the cockpit. But again, I noticed this had the worst visuals, it seemed like. It had the most issues with the blurring and just things not looking right compared to all the other games I played. And some people might be sitting here and saying, oh, Mario, you're just a graphics whore. Well, to be honest, you kind of have to be on VR. Now, I'm not expecting something like the HTC Vive. I've made that clear. However, if you're having issues with frame rate, again, you'll get sick. If you're having issues with visuals, it takes you out of that experience and it just kind of ruins it and cheapens it a bit. So I've heard some reports on this as well too. Other people are kind of echoing the same sentiments. And this would be an interesting game to see it get a PS4 Pro patch, because all of these games, I'm sure they would look even better with the PS4 once they're patched to the PS4 Pro, and I will be getting one of those as well too, so I'll probably revisit this with my thoughts on PSVR on the PS4 Pro compared to the stock unit. But overall, best way I can sum this up, if you like Driveclub, this is the exact same thing except you're inside the car. And finally, PlayStation VR Worlds, which honestly, they sell it to you as a game, but it is really just 5 demos. And I've only played one so far. I've played London Heist, which is, you know, really gets you in there. It's very interesting, quite intricate, and it's a shooting game as well, too. And this would be another demonstration of, I want my railgun shooters on VR. I think that'd be fantastic, because it's not easy to use a light gun or anything similar on modern TVs, and it's not fun to play those games with a controller. It's not fun to do that at all. But so far, one of my favorite parts was this guy right here had a gun up to my head, and you know what I did? Instead of kind of freaking out, I ended up just kind of getting really, really close to the camera. And that's what I've been doing with all of these games as well, too. When there's things going on, I've been kind of moving around, I've been ducking and all that, and it's very intuitive with it, too. It all picks that stuff up. And if you kind of get out of your area in a way, it might bug out a little bit, and it will just warn you. It does a good job. It warns you and says, hey, you're out of the area. Get back in. So I would recommend having a good amount of space for it. Like, I did not try and bother to set up PSVR in this office right here, because this is not the optimal experience for me. I wanted a lot of space, I wanted to play around with it, and also my capture card is here, but I'm not really trying to capture any gameplay right now just because I want to have fun with this. Because sometimes I just want to play my games. I don't want to worry about capturing proper footage or anything. So that's why I'm playing it out in the living room. So I'd recommend being in a well-lit area, having a good amount of space, and probably make sure people don't mess with you or cats or dogs aren't getting in the way so you don't run anyone down. But so far, my overall experience with PlayStation VR has been quite positive. Is it as good as other headsets out there? I think that's debatable. You could say yes to some aspects, you could say no to others. I would definitely say it's the most affordable out there because there's quite a few people who own most people who own a current generation console probably have a PS4. So if you have a PS4, you know, you put $400 or $500 into it and then you end up getting a headset out of it, which is pretty cool. But I would also recommend waiting around a bit, see what the updates are going to be on it, see what's going to get better, maybe a price drop as well too. And on top of that, I'm one of the early adopters of it, so I wanted to get in on it. But here's the thing, the software, awesome. The hardware, if we can get that like blurry issue fixed, I think we're good. But the only other thing is this needs proper game support. That's the only thing that's going to hold this back right now, because the software, the hardware is pretty great on it, but we need proper games for it. And right now it's out and we can just wait, because that's either going to make this thing do okay, flourish, or just completely flop. But regardless of what happens, I'm quite sure this is still going to sell well, because VR is the hot new thing, right next to 4K and HDR and all that. So, buzzwords galore! Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. And if you enjoyed this video, a like would be appreciated. If I didn't seem all that there, it's because I'm tired. And I also just played VR stuff for a few hours, so my brain is still trying to adjust to the real world right now. Can't even talk properly. But if you absolutely hate VR, I mean, you could just dislike this video as well, too. I'm going back to the Matrix.